Hi. Hey, Laura, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited to have you as a guest because I've never had anybody really talk about one of the main reasons people get divorced, and it's about betrayal. And I've known Laura for a long time. We've done some work together, and I would like to call her a recovering divorce attorney. Because she has a huge family law background, but we can tell us a little bit about that and how you got into what you're doing now. But we say that you do betrayal recovery, right?
Yes,
All
that's
right. Well,
absolutely.
tell us a little bit about that because it's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it is. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Okay, so many people think about betrayal in terms of infidelity. And absolutely, infidelity is a huge betrayal, but betrayal goes so much deeper than that. If you actually look at the definition, a betrayal is the breaking of an expectation that you have relied on that ruptures your view of yourself or the world. So often in a divorce situation, people have their expectations broken because you get married expecting to live happily ever after. Nobody gets married thinking, my spouse is probably going to cheat on me. I'm probably going to end up being divorced. They're probably going to hide some financial stuff from me. Nobody expects that. So those feelings of betrayal come up so often when people are getting divorced, whether an actual infidelity has happened or not. And unless you start addressing those feelings of betrayal, what happens is you end up feeling cynical, feeling disgruntled, being like all aggressive and hardened, and never being able to reclaim who you are as a person. And quite frankly, then you're just not able to be as happy and as satisfied in life. So that's what I do is I help people identify what were the different points of betrayal? Where were your expectations ruptured? And now how can we dig deep, figure out what you had to do with that, what you didn't have to do with that, and what you can do to recover so you can move forward being exactly who you are, being healthy, whole, and complete.
Yeah, I mean that's so important. And so now, how would you work with someone? I mean, they find you, and then what does it look like? Is it a series of meetings? Is it something that they do like an intensive, or how would that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. I work with people in a variety of different ways. Sometimes people just know what's going on. I was betrayed physically, I was betrayed emotionally, whether it was, physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever, and they just want to work with me one-on-one for a couple of sessions, and that's fine. We can do that. The way that I really prefer to work though is in about a 6-month chunk of time where you can start going through and identifying, where do I feel betrayed? What were my expectations? Did I communicate those expectations? Did I advocate on behalf of myself and my expectations? Where were they crushed? How am I going to prevent that from happening in the future? How am I going to learn how to communicate and stand up for myself and maybe address with my soon to be ex partner what I need? How do I do all of that? So that's what we do. And it's that process of going within and figuring out, and then also learning the skills to connect and to communicate with others so you can start getting your needs met in the future.
Wow. So now, do you ever have a situation where they don't divorce and then there has been betrayal? Do you work with people that are like, hey, I really don't want this to ruin our lives. I want to be able to work through this. And but how can I ever trust again? I mean, how do you work with someone who really wants? Do you work with both the husband and the wife?
I don't work with people as a team. What I do is I work with one person, typically the person who was betrayed, and I help them understand what was really going on because cheating is a coping mechanism. And if you can start understanding my spouse did this as a coping mechanism, it doesn't say anything about me. It says nothing about my identity, my self worth, what I did right, wrong, or anything. It says about something about them. It's not about me.
I bet
But
that's hard to sink in, though you do feel so it's like take it so personally.
you do. But I also like to say my whole business motto, my whole tagline is that betrayal uncovers the truth. It uncovers the truth about what they did, but it also uncovers the truth about what you need to work on within yourself. Not that you did anything wrong, but how can you now start advocating on behalf of yourself? How can you know start learning and addressing your core wounds?
Oh
It's
my
a
gosh.
deep process.
That's fascinating. Yeah. I mean, and how did you get into this? I mean, being a recovering divorce attorney, and then I know you've done other areas of women's empowerment. You've been so amazing to really give people, women in particular, tools and skills to always be, to be better. Tell me, how did you get into this?
Yeah, I actually went through my own infidelity journey. When I left the practice of law, I moved into women's empowerment and coaching, and I learned all of these amazing skills: somatic attachment therapy, all these different forms of coaching, and different forms of therapy and somatics. Then I was completely devastated when I found out that my husband had been cheating on me.
That
We have worked through it. It has taken 5.5 years. But because of that work, I really felt passionately called to do the work that I wished would have been done for me, to be that person that I wished I would have had along the way. Because betrayal in any form, whether it's infidelity or something else, is absolutely something that we can recover from. It's absolutely something that we can come back stronger from, that we can learn from, and that we can grow from. But it's also something that can devastate us. And the choice is ours. And that's why I started to do this work, because I wanted to help understand people understand that they had the choice in this situation. And so they could see their options clearly. And so they know what they needed to do in order to reclaim their identity, their power, and move ahead.
That's amazing. And I love that because, we're not big divorce pushers at Garske Divorce Mediation. We want to help people through it if they're choosing to do that. But I just think it's amazing and wonderful that you can give people the tools to rebuild, to learn how to retrust, to trust again, and then to be able to have the marriage that they never had before, maybe, but then work through these things and then maybe have to be in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I appreciate so much about the work that you do too. It's about knowledge, because until we know what our financial picture looks like, what our emotional picture looks like, what our legal propositions are, we can't make decisions until we truly know what's going to happen. And knowledge is power. And that's what you do. And that's what I do. We give people knowledge and we give people information so they have the power to choose.
Exactly. That's so good. Wow. Well, gosh, Laura, I'm so glad that we got to have you do this video today with us. So can you tell us how would someone get a hold of you if they wanted to do some work with you? And then tell us
Yeah.
about your podcast too, so they can listen to your podcast. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, both. My podcast is called Flaunt: Create a Life You Love After Infidelity or Betrayal. And you will definitely want to play around on that. It's across, you can find it just by Googling Flaunt, find your, or Create a Life You Love After Infidelity and Betrayal, because it's on all podcast channels. But yes, I go through all the specifics: how to trust again, how to decide to stay or go, how to. So definitely you'll want to play around with that. If you want to learn more about me or my programs, you've got a couple of options. You can go to affairrecoveryforwomen.com. Yes, I work with men too, but I find that women are oftentimes a little bit more willing to be introspective. So that's why it's affairrecoveryforwomen.com. You can also go to betrayalrecoveryguide.com and download your free copy of my Betrayal Recovery Guide. And that just details 3 things that you can do right now to start feeling better, no matter what stage of the journey you're in.
That's so helpful. Awesome. Okay, so that's right. So we've got your website, the 2 different websites, the downloadable and the podcast. Well, that's wonderful. Well, I'm just glad that you could be here today. And I guess I get to be on the podcast pretty soon. So I'll be coming around on the other side. And I just appreciate you telling our clients and our viewers how they can get help from something like that, or just feel better about what happened in their life and get through that stage, because it's just such a great thing to have someone else kind of come before you or come alongside you and realize that it necessarily wasn't your fault. You might have, whatever the reasons are that happen, if you can just, like you said, be introspective and try to learn and then make the decision whether you stay or whether you go. That's awesome, rather than just thinking, okay, it's over.
Right. Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for having me on, because it is important, and it's not one of those things we can just gloss over. It doesn't just get better with time. You need to do the work and create the understanding.
That's so true. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.